Chasing Shadows of Betrayal Unforgiven. The Illusion of Love. Xavier was a man of vision, discipline, and unwavering faith. He had walked a path of self-mastery, investing in his spiritual growth and purpose, but love had always been his weakness. He had given his heart to Olivia, a woman he believed to be his divine counterpart. What he didn't see coming was the betrayal disguised as passion, the deception hidden beneath soft whispers and longing gazes. Olivia had chased an illusion, seduced by the false allure of power and pleasure. A Jezebel spirit had latched onto her, leading her into the arms of another, an old flame wrapped in tantric seduction and empty promises. She had mistaken fleeting passion for fulfillment, mistaking lust for love, and in doing so, she severed the sacred bond she shared with Xavier. The web of deceit. What Xavier did not know at the time was that Olivia had not simply chosen another man. She had been bought. His ex-wife, Vanessa, had orchestrated the entire betrayal. For nearly a year, Olivia had been secretly working for Vanessa, acting as a handler, infiltrating Xavier's life to steal his ideas, intercept his mail, and hide crucial legal documents, court invitations, inheritance notices, anything that would have alerted him to the schemes at play. Vanessa had bribed corrupt officials, weaving a legal nightmare that painted Xavier as dead, delusional, mentally unstable, and promiscuous, all to strip him of his rights, his fortune, and his legacy. In reality, Xavier was a man with over 25 years of professional success, a man who had built his empire with discipline and integrity. But the forces against him sought to erase his existence entirely, and Olivia had played a willing role. The unforgivable choice. Olivia had been meant to stand by Xavier, to build with him side by side, to protect the sacred union that God had destined for them. But instead, she had chosen betrayal. She had taken what she stole from Xavier, his energy, his ideas, his resources, and poured them into another man. She had even gone as far as to marry him for money, getting pregnant in the process, fully immersing herself in the lie she had chosen. But the man she chose was not who she thought he was. He was a parasite, a manipulator, a party boy who indulged in drugs and deception. He had no ambitions of his own, feeding off the stolen wealth that Olivia brought him. Soon, she realized the darkness she had willingly stepped into. He abused her, drained her finances, and turned her into a pawn in his twisted games. Using dark rituals, he cast beauty spells, attachment spells, and manipulation techniques to keep her bound, breaking her spirit and reducing her to nothing more than a puppet. Trapped in a nightmare of her own making, Olivia was now the one being controlled. He attacked her third eye and crown chakra, severing her connection to higher wisdom and leaving her lost in an abyss of confusion. And to sustain his lavish, lazy lifestyle, he prostituted her, forcing her to sell herself while he sat at home, indulging in darkness, corruption, and the fruits of her labor. And to sustain his lavish, lazy lifestyle, he prostituted her, forcing her to sell herself while he sat at home, indulging in darkness, corruption. He was not just a deceiver, he was a dark practitioner, one who had sealed her fate with spells of bondage and destruction. The price of betrayal. Knowing that she could never return, Olivia aligned herself with forces darker than she had ever imagined. She had joined a coven, one that sought to unalive Xavier, to rob him of his destiny and replace him with another through a ritualistic destiny swap. The plan made no sense, yet she clung to it desperately, believing that if she could erase him entirely, she would never have to face the consequences of her choices. But Xavier was not an easy man to destroy. The reversal. Instead of crumbling, he rose. The betrayal, though devastating, was the catalyst for his ultimate transformation. He spent nights in deep meditation, fasting, seeking answers from realms beyond the physical. He called upon his ancestors, his divine protectors, and the Most High to guide him. Then, the revelations came. Visions of Olivia and Vanessa, the rituals, the deception. The binding spells meant to siphon his energy and hand it over to his adversaries. The realization hit like a lightning strike. This was never about love. This was a war. The backfire. Xavier moved swiftly, every spiritual tie severed. Every energetic connection burned. He reclaimed what was his, calling back his power, his essence, his divine favor. The moment he did, the spell unraveled. Olivia, now stripped of the warlock's protection, was left to face the truth. She watched as Xavier, the man she once dismissed, flourished. No longer was he the wounded soul she had abandoned. He had become untouchable, radiating in a power she had forsaken. Vanessa, on the other hand, suffered an even worse fate. Her legal manipulations began to unravel, and the corruption she had leaned on turned against her. The very officials she had bribed now found themselves exposed, and they cut ties with her to save themselves. Her empire crumbled, and her influence waned. As for Olivia, her chosen lover, the dark practitioner, had drained her completely. He no longer needed her. He had moved on to his next victim, leaving her broken, humiliated, and lost. She had traded everything for a fleeting illusion, and now she had nothing. Was it worth it? What could have happened if, only if? Did he deserve this from her? Did she deserve this for herself? So many questions have risen here, yet unspoken due to ego, envy, jealousy, and hatred. A competition that is unjust, stupid, totally unjustified. A fallen angel stripped off all spiritual gifts, grace, and a curse on the bloodline. The reckoning. Then came the day Olivia returned, not as the same woman who had left. The glow that once surrounded her was gone, replaced by the dullness of regret. She stood before Xavier, eyes wide in disbelief, watching the man she had forsaken stand victorious. "I was wrong," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He didn't answer immediately. He didn't need to. The silence between them was enough. "Some betrayals," he finally said, his voice steady, "are never forgiven." A single tear slipped down her cheek. She had lost him. And for what? A fleeting illusion, a false promise, a war she never should have joined. Xavier turned, walking away without another word. He had already won, the unbreakable one. As he stepped into the light of a new day, he knew one thing for certain: he was no longer the man she had left behind. The enemy had plotted his downfall, but in their attempts to break him, they had only forged a stronger warrior. Some battles are lost before they begin. Some wars are fought in unseen realms. But when you are divinely protected, the weapons formed against you will always fail. Olivia had played her part. Vanessa had played hers. But in the end, it was Xavier who stood tall, unshaken, untouchable, victorious. And as he moved forward, he carried with him a lesson written in blood and betrayal. Not everyone deserves a second chance. Not matter how much love, energy was poured in a relationship. It takes courage, trust, and healing from both ends to build a solid foundation, and lots of faith in God to receive the grace.